Alright, so this week on Black Clover we got something that I think is going to have mixed feelings within the community because we know how people get with Black Clover, and Yuno made quite the move in this week's chapter as he was fighting Rill, the Azure captain. I personally don't mind this chapter whatsoever. I think it was fine seeing Yuno gain this new form by merging with his spirit, Bell. I mean, it is explained that he learned how to do it through the mana skin training and things like that, so it has a background. It's not just out of the blue, so I wouldn't call it an ass pull by any means, but I think what most people who do consider this to be a negative development think is that it's not very original, and I'll be honest, it's not really, but originality is very hard to come by nowadays, and I think what people should be concerned with is not its originality, but to make sure that the plot has its own twist, and it does. Even if it has similar elements to some other popular series, it's still its own cookie, you know. So the fight between Yuno and Rill was actually very interesting because obviously we know that Yuno is really powerful, and before he transforms into the spirit drive form, he does keep on attacking Rill, but it's just not working because Rill can use his painting magic to seal away all of his attacks. So you have this feeling of how Rill is really strong, because to do that with Yuno's magic in particular, they take someone quite special. And even after this major showdown between Fairy Mode Yuno, as I'm going to call him, and Rill in his craze, it isn't very clear who is superior as a magic knight. I mean, I would argue that Rill still is, because firstly he's older and he has more experience than Yuno, but he's also still in his base because he simply doesn't have what Yuno has. He may only paint stuff and make things come out of it, you know. He relies on his creative ways, which is why I have to give a lot of props to Rill for keeping up with Yuno's new power. I mean, it seems like they're pretty equal in power during that time, and you just have this panel which, I'll be honest, it really does give me feels of Dragon Ball Z when Gohan was having his final round with Cell, as they had this big Kamehameha clash, and it looks very similar in terms of visuals. But as I said, I didn't mind this chapter and I didn't mind this panel either, like, just because it looks similar and most likely is inspired by a particular moment from another series, it can still be a really good moment, you know. Don't let the rip-off people get to you, because it's not a fucking ripoff. Of course, what I found really nice about this fight between Yuno and Rill is that Yuno can't really seem to win in terms of sheer force, because at the end of the day, what ended up winning him the match wasn't really his power, but Rill's own magic destroyed the crystal behind him. So to me at least, it gives me the feeling that Rill may be strong, but his power is a little crazy, you know. It's all over the place sometimes, and you did get his panel in the chapter from a flashback, I would assume, where someone's telling Rill that he should stop painting or no one is going to be accepting him, which most likely does refer to him getting out of control a lot if he gets too into it, you know. Things just get way out of hand, and that's what I think happened in this match. Rill was simply too happy about fighting someone who can actually withstand his own attacks, and it caused his magic to lose control or to waver, even if just a little, which made some of his magic blow up his own crystal. Then we have Asta, who was watching this match, and we got this really interesting parallel between Asta and Yuno, I guess you could call it, where we knew from before that Asta intended to save his demonic transformation to fight Yuno whenever they got to fight each other, because that's his trump card. And in this chapter, Yuno said something similar about his new form, where he wanted to keep it to himself until he got to fight Asta, which I think at least is very nice to see, how they both consider each other to be the best of the best in this tournament, regardless of feats or magic signature, simply because they're childhood friends and they're also rivals. But it's not really surprising why they had to resort to using their powers early. I mean, in Yuno's case, he happened to find himself fighting a squad captain, which would put pressure on anyone because you don't become a captain just by pure luck. There has to be feats, power, and a mindset that makes you a captain. So Yuno was up against someone who may seem like he's all happy and wanna fight, but behind that mask there is more. He's strong, no doubt about it, but he's also very good at using his magic, even if at times it can go haywire and things like that. So Yuno obviously had to use that, because if he didn't, his team would no doubt have lost, and Yuno wouldn't get to use his form against Asta anyway. So it is in a strange way a win-win situation to waste that power early on, just so that you may actually get to fight Asta later on at all. Then there's Asta, who of course had to resort to using his demonic form twice. First he had to use it against Magna's team because they had a royal who was an obstacle to say the least with his cherry blossom magic, and the second time he had no choice as he challenged Langris, that is Finrol's younger brother, other who has extremely powerful and dangerous magic. So both Yuno and Asta had to really use their trump cards early on just to proceed further into the tournament, or the Royal Knights exam. I'm not sure what it's called. Let's just call it the tournament, because why not? And yeah, at least now they might get to fight each other at all, which is at the end of the day a better result than if just one of their teams would have gotten eliminated early on while the better of the two progressed and potentially won the whole thing. Now, I'm pretty sure it was said that even the losing teams has a chance of making it as a Royal Knight, because the matches are just to display your abilities as a standalone as well as a team player, so losing wouldn't necessarily mean that you're out of the exams. It probably gives you less of a chance of making it, I would assume. So if by some chance one of their teams were to lose and the other doesn't, well, they could still both end up becoming Royal Knights, which could happen, but I wouldn't exactly count on it. I think they may have to fight each other in the end, judging by the pattern of this series. It likes to stay mainstream, so to speak, and there's nothing wrong about that, but it does make it easier to predict. Anyway, I'm going to end the review here, so let me know what you think down below in the comments, and as always, if you did, be sure to Detroit smash that like button if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you want to see more of my content. This has been your favorite host, Perm, and I'll see you next time.